Hey guys, Lancer here. Hope everyone's doing well. Thanks for joining me while looking to some more MTG market movers for the week. I know it hasn't been a week yet, but things have happened yesterday that we probably need to cover. And if you guys can hear the lawn mowing in the background, sorry, but I think that's a neighbor over somewhere, and yeah, it's coming through pretty clearly. Anyways, let's continue. So, what am I talking about? I'm going to combine a bit of the financials and what's happening in the stock market and also what's happening in the Magic community, cards, etc. Because I mentioned this before, I think they're kind of tied together. What's going to happen in one place affects another because people buy things with money. And if they're going to have trouble getting money and or if they're worried about the future, then they might have less money to spend on. Sorry, I keep using money, but currency. They might have less currency to spend on alternative purchases like expensive magic cards. Whether or not this is going to stop and impact prices at this moment right now, whether it's already been priced into the magic community, I'm not too sure, but let's see what has been happening. And then I'll explain a bit after we've covered the dual lands on why it's happened or why it can continue happening. So first things first, Badlands. Let's have a look at the best lightly played, $445. Not too much of a drop. Bayou, continuing on. Damage, lightly played, $504. Yeah, that's okay actually, still for a lightly played. It does feel like the prices are still stabilizing, even though the market, at least as far as the price history shows, on TCG Player is dropping. And I also know that TCG Player is going to get bought out by eBay. I'm not 100% sure what's going to happen for these charts and all that. I think they're not going to change too much. And near mint plateau for $334 doesn't seem too bad. That's another topic. I'm sure people have covered it already. I know Rudy did a video on it. Scrublands. Let's find out. So Scrublands, bit of an uptick. Near mint $395. Sure. I'm going by what is the near mint because that's the ones I would buy going forward because those are the ones that hold up their value the best long term and for the price point. Near mint $494, I lightly played for $396. And near mint for $495 might still not be too bad. And Tropical Island, quickly going through it, a moderately played, lightly played for $565, lightly played, near mint for $654. Hey, at least it's not $9,000 or something crazy like that. That actually is pretty good, isn't it? A $654 near mint. A couple of, well, like 2 years ago, I probably would have said that's stupidly expensive, but it is actually not that bad considering what's going on right now. And Tundra. Tundra is lightly played, near mint for $564. And a Volcanic Island is near mint. No near mints. So lightly played $772, which is okay. But like I said, whoa, that's actually insane for what's happening with this one. Now, why do I see the prices stabilizing and or continuing to drop further? I did a video a couple of days ago on what's happening with the markets. Not many people were really tuned in for that, but understandably, since I've been focused on Magic, it looks like as far as the Federal Reserve on the US side, they have decided that inflation is the worst thing ever and they're going to fight it, which means they are going to which means they're going to continue increasing interest rates. They want to see pain in the economy. They want to see people in the middle class and people that have disposable incomes, disposable, I guess, savings, etc., to use up their savings in their loans. So whatever loans they have, they want to force them to pay back in interest. And for people that don't have large loans or manage to get good with the loans, they might be okay, at least for the short term, but that still means that the wider economy is going to suffer. People might lose jobs. That's kind of what they want. The unemployment rate is so low that they want to increase unemployment. So all of that means the next year is going to be tough unless the Federal Reserve chickens out. And if they chicken out, it actually will be very easy to tell. It'll be all over the news. The Fed pivot is now in. But most likely we won't know when interest rates have risen to the highest level they can. And at that time is the best time to buy everything. But we don't know when that is. So let's say that I think Fed Power said something about 4%. let's say 4% was the number. 4% is a lot higher than where it is right now, which means the markets and everything are going to be damaged. But at 4%, they said they're going to hold it for a while, which means people are going to feel the pain. So maybe at 4% might be a good time to start buying large assets, houses, etc., cars, and all that. But when it comes to reserve list cards, sorry, collectibles, what I would probably say is, as usual, if you've got some money put aside every month, 2 months, 4 months, whatever money that you want to put aside, and you like these cards, you want to put them in decks, you want to look at them, you want to, you actually enjoy what they are outside of the fact that they're just cardboard cards with value attached to them. You're not trying to make money or anything short term. Then you can buy into this. People like Rudy will be buying into this long term, which means that there is always going to be some value to hold there. But will it ever recover back to the 2021 prices in the next, like, let's say 5 years? I don't know. And that's something you got to accept. So what I'm saying is, even though the economy and everything is going to struggle over the next year to 2 years, and probably even longer than that, depending on what happens to inflation, if you enjoy these cards, etc., then you should probably be okay buying into them. I will do a market video as well after this, just to see what happened, but it was a bloodbath, at least as far as the US goes. I also know that the Australian dollar has fallen off the cliff, which is really sad because, that pretty much means saving in that is just as bad as saving in anything else. But luckily, the bank at least gives me something, I guess. But moving on to Pioneer and reserve list for MTG Goldfish, which is actually showing a bit of an uptick. I'll cover that quickly, actually. So this is actually showing a bit of an uptick. This is the overall price for all of the revised edition, and it's moved up by about $100 since its low. Nothing too crazy compared to the almost 9,000, 8,700 that it hit in April 2021. So we'll see what happens with that. It's still stabilizing. People are still not very sure about selling these. And the people that have bought them must have had disposable income to buy them in the first place. Maybe some crypto billionaires and millionaires made a lot of money just buying as much Magic cards. Maybe they really enjoy Magic. Who knows? Moving over to Pioneer. Chainveil moving up by 17%. Authority of the Consoles moving up by 16% to now sit at $9.66. And now Chainmail is now $24.61. It's pretty insane. Inspiring Vantage. Enter the battlefield tapped unless you control 2 or fewer other lands at 10% gain to now sit at $10.80. Interesting. Tree of Predation. And 9% gain to now sit at $10.64. Biggest drops. Pretty much everything that was released as part of Double Masters, Crucible of the World, Eodon of the Great Revel. I don't know if that was it. I don't know if Mechanized was there. Brimers, King of Oreskos. Nithos, Shrine of Nyx. Emrakul, The Promised End is a 1% drop because of the fact that I think it just spiked up way too aggressively after the new one got printed in Double Masters. Dragonlord Dramoka was in Double Masters, now $4% drop to now sit at $14.87. And Hardened Scales, a 10% drop to now sit at $5.17. Moving over to, why am I getting, anyway. Moving over to Modern. Tomb of Arumi has 163% gain to now sit at $6.95. Fancy Doubling Season, like I said, I think it's slowly moving its way to $100 now, $91.40. Cyclonic Rift, 11% gain to now sit at $41.31. Grief, 26% gain to now sit at $18.85. And Lord of Atlantis, a 10% gain to now sit at $16.75. The biggest drops, pretty much Double Master stuff, a bit of Dominaria spoilers. Liliana of the Veil obviously is in there. Sword of Fire and Ice, 4% drop to now sit at $53.87. That's an interesting one. Cavern of Souls, pretty much everything in Double Masters. Jace the Mind Sculptor, 3% drop to now sit at $55. Quite a significant drop actually for Jace over the last couple of months. Most likely because he's just not very much in demand, I guess. Like, I mean, look at him. He was $140. He got one printing, I think, since then, and then he's just dropped off the edge of a cliff. So, yeah, there's that. Yeah, he just might not be very useful anymore. And the last thing is Tomb of Yawgmoth, 4% drop, and I said at $40. So, Do I say anything about covering the markets? I might actually do that in the next video. Going back to what I was just saying, a lot of the moving around in the markets is people just trying to get in to buy whatever they can. That's obviously doing well for Commander, etc. But when it comes to this vintage, revised, reserved list cards, you're looking at people that want to do it to build long-term value with the idea of playing with some old school, cool looking artwork cards that you know is 20 something years old and you just want to take care of it. So I think it's actually very important to remember that the market, while it might look pretty bad over the next couple of months to years, if you're going to very carefully buy in, then you should be fine. I just would not recommend going all in, even when you think, or actually, if you know you're 100% sure that you got the bottom, of course you'd want to go all in. But I'm just saying that it's always better to be safe than sorry, and obviously to play with money that you're willing to lose. Not financial advice, obviously, but I'm just saying that the next couple of months after the speech from Jackson Hole, from the Federal Reserve, it does look like they want to cause pain in the economy around the world. That's going to impact us as well in Australia. So over time, I think we're just going to figure out what that actually means. But right now, over the last month, 2 months, the market didn't believe it. The market didn't believe what the Federal Reserve was saying, and they probably still don't because the Federal Reserve is just, flip-flopped everywhere. So we'll have to see what actually happens in the next couple of months. But currently, it looks like Jerome Powell wants to go off as a hero, or at least as a guy that held what he was going to say to make sure that no one was like, but you promised this and then you said that and you did that and all that stuff. So this is the kind of stuff I expected to happen for the last 2.5 years. So I've been kind of expecting the markets to behave negatively to interest rates and inflation. But the markets were pretty much hoping that hyperinflation was going to happen and things were going to be good forever and ever and ever with just hyperinflation. But it looks like the Jerome Powell doesn't want any of that to happen, and he is going to try to do some damage to the markets. We'll have to see how that goes. Anyways, guys, thanks for joining. Let me know what you think. This is more of a market than it is. Sorry, this is more of a market update of the general market than it is about Magic. But like I said before, I'd be very surprised if the easy conditions over the last 30 years didn't have some impact on collectibles in general. A lot of people, like Rudy and all that, pretty much say they did the thing that makes sense for 7% doubling of their money, etc., holding it long term and all that. But if no one gives credit to the Federal Reserve and the government for creating inflation, then they're kidding themselves. A lot of people don't want easy money, except for the people that already own a lot of stuff. And for the people that own a lot of stuff, they're going to give advice, like they always do, that things are going to always be the same, things are always going to get better, things are always going to go up in value. The world cannot survive for very long if we're going to get exponential growth and doublings of stuff every year. And the only way that you can get doublings of stuff is inflation is so high that the next 10 years, whoever's born will not be able to afford what you've just bought. And that's a bad way to go about it in the next couple of years. Let me put it for house prices. If I go by house prices at what they are now, and house prices at what they're going to be in 30 years, to what wages are going to be, I can't see how anyone's going to be able to afford to buy a house. I really can't. Example would be, and I assume that the US is very similar, and around the world is even more similar. You buy a house in the year 2000 for, let's say, 100,000. Now, the house is 400,000. But someone that was earning 100,000 in 2000, very doubtful that they're earning 400,000 now. Most likely, they could be earning 200,000 or something to that level. So, in the next year, let's say 20 years, if house prices go up to, let's say, $1 million, then the person's probably going to be earning, let's say, 400,000, which is insane. But most likely, they were not going to even get to 400. They might not even get to 300, and which means that they're not going to be able to pay or buy that house. So, and that's the kids that are coming in to join the party late. So at this point, I'm very interested to say, I know I'm a bit rambling at this point, but I'm very interested to see what's going to happen with these card prices as well, because at some point, the new players aren't going to be able to play the game. And the old players will be able to trade between each other, I guess. But just like art, is that going to become like a collectible market where no one new can come in, only the people that are already well off can join? Or is that going to be a market which is going to have to untangle itself to make it so that people can actually jump in at some point in the future? Because let me put it this way, if this happens, where Volcanic Island goes from $287 in 2017 to almost $821 in 2021, then and it stabilizes at 217 to 800, where it's almost gone up by two and a half times. Then the only thing I can think about is what is that going to do for future collectibles or people that want to collect. So keep an eye on this. That's why I always say average in into the things that you enjoy and make sure that you always understand the risk, because you never know what's going to happen and you never really know what the governments and the Federal Reserve are going to do. So I half agree with people like Rudy, and I also half agree with people that say that the system is completely busted and the people that are playing the games are the ones that are already winning. Anyways, guys, rambling video. Let me know what you guys think and see what you guys think about the next one. Thanks again. See ya.